What's happening, guys? Very good afternoon to you all. This is your boy, the Boxing Lowdown, here for episode number 78 of the Boxing Lowdown podcast. And as always, man, I'm delighted to be joined by my father and co-host, Mr. Laurie from AFTV in the building. What is going on, my friend?
I'm all right, man. I'm recovered from a recent bout of COVID, my second case in 18 months now. So that's nothing to be proud of. But having said that, the latest strain I got was nowhere near as debilitating as the first time around. So I made a fairly quick recovery. Within 2 or 3 days, I was all right again. So yeah, man, happy to be here. Let's go, as Dillian would say. Let's go.
Big up Jerry here in the building. He's put hello, guys. Hello to you as well, Jerry. Good to have you here. Quick one, yeah. We're going to be running on strictly an hour today. Laurie, I believe you got somewhere to go, man.
Yep. Date night tonight. No, it's not as exciting as that. Basically, the DR channel, Robbie's DR channel, has recently surpassed 200,000 subs. So we're going to celebrate by going out to dinner in Shoreditch later. I wish I could invite you along, but the invitations have already closed. But yeah, man. So yeah, looking forward to that. So as soon as I finish here, I'll be heading down to Shoreditch.
Oh, we'll power through today, man. We've got a lot to talk about as well. As you guys know the rules, as soon as you enter the building, smash the like button. It doesn't cost anything. It don't cost nothing to hit the like button. So hit that button, leave your comments in, and we'll happily get through them throughout the show. Big up Harvey here in the building. He's put, yo, good evening, gents. I hope you're both well. Looking forward to the show. Looking forward to it as well, my bro. Let's get started, Laurie. We'll recap on last week because I wanna say something. We were talking about Triple G quite over the last two shows, and you sent me a message that was quite revealing to me. It said something after the win. You said something like, "Wow, I might have to reevaluate my thought on Triple G." Do you know what I mean? So, explain a bit more.
No, I very much had my tongue in my cheek when I said that. That said, you have to give the man credit. It was a very good performance. Considering that, let's be honest, man, in the first 4 or 5 rounds, he can shove himself in it. In fact, I think it was maybe the third round, he got seriously hurt to the body. And I'm thinking to myself, Murat might be able to get him out of there. You know what I mean? But I think the turning point of that fight arrived a couple of rounds later. I think in the 5th round, Triple G landed a big left hook, or right hook even, and around the jawline of Murata. His gumshoe went flying, and that seemed to change the whole momentum of the fight. Because up until then, I think in the first 4 or 5 rounds, I had Murata winning pretty much every round. And like I said, he was pushing Triple G back. I mean, Triple G was blowing from as early as the 2nd round. He actually looked his age in there for a bit. But yeah, that appeared to be the turning point. And to give him credit, he finished well. He got him out of there impressively. So you got to give him credit for that. But, and it's a big but, if anyone out there thinks that performance is going to frighten frighten Canelo or anyone like that, or Charlo or anyone like that, then they're sadly mistaken. Because let's be honest, man, in those first 4 or 5 rounds, he was seriously struggling Riyata Murata. And we're talking about a guy, let's face it, he's 36 years old himself, Murata. Come from a 2-year layoff, and he'd been beaten twice already. You know he'd beaten him twice now?
Yeah.
Hassan Indam, you know, and Rob Bryant. Now, Rob Bryant, I think it is. So come on now, you know what I mean? It's not like he'd scaled Mount Rushmore by beating Riyata Murata. I'll give him credit because, you know what I mean, he was down on the cards and he was looking very beatable. So for him to turn it around, you have to give him credit for that. That performance in its isolation is going to elevate him to greatness. I'm sorry. I'm not going to anoint him as great. No.
Okay.
And that type of performance, he'll probably get stopped by Canelo. Let's be honest, because Canelo, since they've fought, Canelo's improved since then. So if anyone out there is thinking, yeah, man, forget that, bro.
I don't
You know,
think
that's
anyone's
food.
thinking. I don't think many people are thinking that. I don't think many people are thinking that you know he's going to beat Canelo after that. I think they're pretty much sharing the same.
Yeah.
You know.
He will be food for Canelo. Food.
Harvey says here, good big up DS in the building, and Francisco right here. Harvey says here, good win, unifying. Yeah, exactly. Unifying at 40 years old in his opponent's backyard is a great achievement. Another good list to add to his list of accolades there for Triple G. That is a very good achievement.
They're really reaching with this thing, isn't it? They're reaching, bro. Like I said to you, Murat's already been beaten twice by Rob Blunt and Hassan Indam. Does that make them two great fighters?
Yeah, but as Nathan and Stefan are saying here, that was a robbery. They're saying that was a bad robbery. Nathan says it's a robbery. Stefan, that was one of the biggest robberies in history. So
people always want to apply caveats to it, innit? So what about Rob Blunt? What was the caveat there? What was that? What, did he have food poisoning, or you know what I mean? Was his shoulder injured or something? Come on, man! Like it's clear why he wanted Murata. He waited 2 years for this fight. Now you know why. You know what I mean? Come on now. And I've given him credit for the win. It's not like I'm being bad-minded. I've given him credit for the win. All I'm saying is, let's have it right. Let's not, you know what I mean, push the boundaries back and try and recreate history here. You know what I mean? It was against Murata, who as a professional has not hit the heights. So let's have it right, mate. You know what I mean? That performance is not going to, in fact, Canelo will be looking at, so yeah, I can't wait to fight him if he gets past Bivol.
Yeah. Harvey saying here, I agree. Them body shots, he didn't really like him. And I noticed that in the Derevyanchenko fight, man. The body shots, you're not really going to get to Triple G's chin, but the body now, it feels like you can get to it a little bit because Derevyanchenko had him hurt a number of times to the body, and Murata did as well in them early rounds.
This is the thing, right? Because a minute ago, I don't know who it was. The name escapes me. But he just put in the comments that when Murata lost to Indam, it was a bad robbery. I could say the same about Derevyanchenko. Very few people I've spoken to said that Triple G won that fight. I thought he lost clearly, you know what I mean, against Derevyanchenko. So this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying, bro. Listen, I'll give the man credit. 40 years old, he went into the opponent's backyard. He pulled out a from behind win. So whenever any fighter does that, you got to give him credit. But let's put things into their proper perspective. This was no killer he was fighting. This was a guy, 36 years old himself, coming off a 2-year layoff, whose credentials up until that point had not been elite by any stretch of the imagination. So come on now, you know what I mean? Let's let's just calm down. Calm down.
Well, I think most people will agree that, like Nathan here, he's saying you don't really want to see Triple G in there with Canelo either. But here's a question. Here's a question. No one was looking forward to Fury and Wilder 3. No one really wanted that fight. Everyone was kind of like, boy, we wanted the AJ and Fury. We wanted that. And then we got Fury and Wilder 3. We all thought, nah, we don't want to see this, man. And Wilder put up a great effort. Could there be a last hurrah for Triple G? You never know.
I very much doubt it. Like I said, Canelo's improved significantly since then. And whilst it would appear that Triple G, despite what he did, the come from behind victory, it was clear in those early rounds that he's looking old, man. He's starting to look his age. And if that was Canelo ripping in those body shots, I'm sorry, he probably would have taken him out of there. You know what I mean? Now, listen, that being said, Triple G, he is a warrior. He's still got punching power. They say the last thing you lose is your punching power. So yeah, he will carry a threat, yeah. But let's be honest, man, he's not going to beat him. And who wants to see that fight, really? Who wants it? Apart from the real Triple G nut huggers, who really wants to see that fight? And this is why I said when they announced that 2-fight deal, that this was a cherry. You know what I mean? This was a cherry. And it's noticeable that Canelo was already trying to hype it up by coming out with these little statements about, yeah, I don't like him. Yeah. Who are you trying to kid, Canelo? You know what I mean? Like, come on now. Carrying on like this beef between the two fighters. I don't like him. He talks a lot of shit. Triple G does not chat shit about anybody. He's one of the most honorable people in the game. So But he's doing that because he's already trying to sell that fight because he knows it's an extremely winnable fight for him. I guess the problem he has is to get past Bivol.
At this stage, yeah, and that's by no means no easy feat. Nathan
So people keep telling me.
Nathan says here, I like Triple G, but I don't want to see the Canelo fight at this point. Mohammed has said here, big up Mohammed. He's put here, Laurie, you want paid there? You want paid there, Laurie?
Of course, I want paid there. Of course. You want paid there?
Francisco have a question here. He's put, would you put Triple G in the top 15 in middleweight history?
No. No chance, mate.
No.
Nah. Top 15 in history. Probably not. Next week I'll write out my top 15 and I'll see if I'll try and address it honestly. He wouldn't get in my top 10 because, like I said, I don't consider him an all-time great. And if you think that a victory over Ryota Murata is going to change that, then no, it's not.
Canelo versus Triple G 3 is still a mega fight. There's huge money to be made for both, says Harvey. And Diaz has said here, the only intrigue I've got for the third Canelo fight is seeing Triple G at 168. It must be killing him to get down to 160 at this stage. He did look very good on the scales, to be fair to him.
He did. But I'm not even sure if that fight will be at 160 anyway. I think you'll probably.
Well, he said one. Yeah, he said that's what he said. That's what he's saying here. He said it'll be at 168.
Yeah. Because Canelo's not going to drop down to middleweight, and why would he? Yeah. He's the A side, obviously, in this fight. He's probably going to put a load of caveats in the negotiations. You know what I mean? So, nah.
Big up Punch Smollett in the building. He's easily top 15. Some American YouTubers even say he's better than Hagler. Big up Punch Smollett here in the building, man. I know you.
If anyone reckons that he's better than Hagler, then I don't know what to say to them. You know what I would say to them? Go and watch some of Hagler's fights. If you think that Triple G is better than Hagler, go and watch some of his fights.
I'm
pretty sure that once you've seen those fights, I'm pretty sure they won't be saying that anymore, unless you've got some kind of inherent bias.
I want to see your top 15. I'm looking forward to seeing who your top 15 is.
Yeah,
man.
I will do a top 15. Listen, he may sneak in around 13, 14, 15. Definitely not in the top 10. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can think of better fighters than him with better resumes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what about the other fights last weekend, man? Because I know we've got to power through. Lubin Fundora, the fight of the weekend for sure, man. And your boy Garcia against Tego. We'll start off with Lubin and Fundora. Wow, what a fight, man.
Sublime, man. I mean, that's potentially one of the fights of the year. I stayed up late to watch it, and I'm glad I did because it was a tremendous fight, as I thought it would be. And it kind of ended the way I thought it would as well. I remember I was saying to you on the show last week that I thought.
Didn't you pick Lubin?
No. I said that I could envisage a situation whereby Fundora would be unloading on Lubin and the referee would stop it. That's what I said. In the end, it was the corner that pulled him out. But I just thought the size differential would prove too much, man. And then it's not just the size differential. I just looked at the way Fundora fights. He's very active, man. He's got a high punch output. And he's going to be extremely difficult to beat. You're going to have to set and adhere to a very specific game plan, unless you can bomb him out with one shot. But he's not going to be an easy guy to overcome. You know what I mean? Because like I said, that combination of being very tall, very long, good engine, decent chin, and throws a whole load of punches, it's just a nightmare, man. You know what I mean? When you all those guys in the head-to-head for the weigh-in and that, I almost felt sorry for Lubin. I'm thinking, this almost seems unfair that he's got to fight this guy. You know what I mean? Can you imagine it from Lubin's perspective? Like, he had that title shot some years back against Charlo, gets beaten in a round, it's taking him about another 5-6 years to get to the position where you're fighting for a potential title shot again, and then he's going to put you in with Fundora, who's taller than most heavyweights, by the way.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. His size, man. It's freaky.
Yeah.
It's freaking matchup.
It's freakish, yeah. Physically freakish. But to be fair to Fundora, it's not just a height thing, because he does actually have skills. I mean, he's got very educated uppercut. He was landing that at will. And like I said, he's a high volume puncher. And high volume punchers are a nightmare at the best of times. Can you imagine when a man towers over you and he's just letting his hands go? Just like that. It must be a nightmare.
Yeah. That was a
That
beautiful uppercut
being
that dropped
said,
Lubin in the
Lubin
second
did not
round as
stick
well.
to the
That
game plan,
uppercut that dropped Lubin in the second round was beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm.
To be fair as well, Lubin did not stick to his corner's instructions, did he?
No, I think he was out. I think he got taken out of his game plan after that shot.
I think, the sheer enormity of the what was in front of him probably spooked him a little bit once he got in there.
Yeah.
So
Nathan saying here, Lubin Fundora was a great fight as expected. Full credit to Lubin. He showed great heart. His corner made the correct call. Punch Mullet said here, how did the judges have Lubin winning that fight?
No, only God knows. I wasn't aware of that, but if that is the case,
then
that is dreadful.
Yeah, it was up.
Because Lubin only won I think he won the first round, then I think he won the round that he dropped Fundora in. And even in the round that he dropped Fundora in, it was a kind of come from behind thing, wasn't it? Because he was losing up until that point. So I'm not even sure if it was a 10-8 round. It could have been a 10-9 round, or should have been. So,
well, with the win, Fundora is now set. He's a mandatory challenger for the WBC belt. That means he'll get the winner of Charlo and Castano. That'll be very interesting. And he'll be a good opponent for the winner there.
Listen, I'm sure none of those two will say it publicly, but they're not going to want that fight, man. I wouldn't be surprised, especially if Charlo wins it. He moves up to 160 because, you know what I mean? Like, what is there in it for him? Because he would have already unified the belts at that point. And he would have been champion at that weight for years. If I'm Charlo's people, I'm saying, listen, man, let's go up to 160 and see what's out there. We can become a 2-weight world champion rather than get yourself ensconced with a really hard fight against a young, up-and-coming killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, on that night, we saw Garcia and Tago, and I have to agree with Mohammed's comment here, man. I was telling you how disappointed I was watching the boy Tago, man. I thought you were slightly disagreeing with me, but I was just like, yo, man, he did not come to fight at all. It was really like he was on the back foot a lot. He was on his bike. Garcia didn't particularly impress me that much either, but I just thought that Tago, man, he talked up a lot at the pre-workouts on the Wednesday before the fight. And then during the fight, man, it was literally like on your bike, don't want to engage. I get it if you're trying to outbox him and you had a plan, but to me, it just looked like he didn't want to get hit. The rare times when he did engage, it was more get off me punches rather than like trying to assert your authority. I don't know. Am I being too harsh, do you think? Or what do you think about that?
Well, put it this way. Earlier on, I described the Lubin Fundora fight as sublime. Yeah. And you asked me about this fight, I would say this is ridiculous. So we've gone from the sublime to the ridiculous. An awful fight. And yes, you're right about Tago. He didn't come to fight. He was very disappointing. But that being said, the emphasis was on Garcia to show us what he's got. Yeah. Because let's be honest, this was a hand-picked opponent. An opponent that they expected Garcia to get rid of within a couple of rounds. So with that in mind, I'm not going to go in on Tago as hard as what some other people have done. For him, he was always there to survive. Anyone, let me just get this out there. Yeah? Anyone that thought that Tago was coming to win that fight, I don't know what you were thinking. You know what I mean? Because the guy was on a hide into nothing. Tago used to train in Joe Gooson's gym. Yeah. Now, he was selected for a reason. For a start, he's about half the size of Garcia, yeah? And I don't know what his listed age is, but whatever his listed age is, he's at least 10 years older. And so if they say he's 30, then he's 40. If they say he's 32, he's 42. Because you could just see it, bro. The man had nothing for Garcia. And yet with all of that, Garcia never looked like getting rid of him, even though he knocked him down in the second round, right? He showed no inclination of cutting off the ring. He had no jab. He had no footwork. He was awful. Let's be honest, man. He, you know what I mean? Okay, he's got physical gifts, fast twitch fibers, great hand speed, good power, and stuff like that. But in terms of a boxing sense, he was awful. Yeah. He stuck the joint out nearly as much as Tago did.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of mistakes he was making, man. And then, like, the times when Tego did decide to throw a couple of punches, he was landing cleanly on Garcia.
Yeah.
I thought it was an awful performance.
Can you give Garcia a bit of slack because he ain't been out of the ring for like 14 months? New trainer, overcome some issues outside of the ring. Can you give him a bit of slack for that, or not really?
Yeah, you have to be fair and say, yeah, those things are applicable up to a point. But come on, man, it was a hand-picked opponent. Like I said, this guy barely was above Garcia's waist. You know what I mean? He was disadvantaged in every possible way. He was literally there for the taking. And Garcia couldn't take him out. And he looked poor. Like I said, basic fundamentals he was not displaying. A jab, variation, going to the body, cutting off the ring. These are things that he should have been working on in advance of this fight because they were the obvious advantages that he had going into this fight. And he showed nothing. And that's what you get with a guy that when he goes in the gym, all he wants to do and posting that on Instagram, you know what I mean? That is not boxing, mate. You know what I mean? That is just posing and showing off for your Instagram followers. He needs to get his head right and work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was a learning experience for him. I think that's the best you can say, really, can't you?
Yeah, I mean, he's still young.
You know what I mean?
Still young, still got time.
To humble himself a little bit, get back in the gym and work on his flaws, of which there are a number. He does have some plus points as well. Like I said, he's got natural athleticism, natural power, speed, fast twitch fibers. Yes, he's got all of those, but that in itself will not make you a great fighter. And let's be honest, man, when you look at Haney and Tank and Kambosos, Lomachenko and guys like that, he's way off that, bro. Way off that. Am I right or wrong? Am I being too hard?
Yeah. I don't think he beats any of those guys.
Nah, not right now.
No, not for me.
And at the rate he's going, Daryl, he's not gonna, because like I said, he doesn't seem to be applying himself to boxing in the right way.
Yeah.
You know,
Punch Mullet says here, is Ryan Garcia the Mexican Belanga?
I like that analogy. I don't know, man. I don't know, man. I think he's probably a bit more naturally talented than Belanga, to be honest. But like I said, what's the point of having those gifts, those tools, if you're not going to use them inside the ring? Because not everyone's just going to come, like, drop their hands and be there for you to hit. And Tego showed that. That's why I give Tego a little bit of credit. He was determined to go the distance, and he went the distance. That was what he was there to do.
That Luke Campbell was a good win. That was a good win. That Luke Campbell fight. That was Luke Campbell at the time when we saw that fight, we were like, boy, this is a real test for Garcia, man. We know what Luke Campbell brings. We know his credentials. Garcia,
but you know what, though? You say that.
Picked himself up off the floor and he stopped him with a body shot, man. I was impressed with that.
But you know what? You know what I'm going to say about that? And yes, you are right to a degree, yeah? But if you contrast that with some of Devin Haney's performances, where he's fought legit guys, like Linares, who's a guy that's actually beaten Luke Campbell, by the way, yeah? Devin Haney dominated Linares, right? And I remember in that fight, I think it was the 8th or 9th round, or maybe even the 10th round. If you remember, he got briefly wobbled, didn't he? And everybody said, oh, look, he's chinny, he's this and that. Now, Ryan Garcia got dropped against Luke Campbell, a guy that's not previously known as a big puncher, whereas Linares is. Anybody that knows boxing will tell you that Linares has got serious power in that right hand. Just ask Luke Campbell, by the way. Anyway, so he drops Haney, and Haney attracts a lot of criticism, which I thought was very disproportionate, right? Ryan Garcia drops Luke Campbell. Sorry, Luke Campbell drops Ryan Garcia hard, by the way. Had him in trouble, just didn't follow up properly. And yet Ryan Garcia got a whole stack of credit for that fight. So I'm just saying, man, you know what I mean? Like people, the way that people look at fights and that, you think to yourself, well, you know what I mean? It's not equitable there, is it? The criticism is not equitable.
Let's move on.
Devin Haney's gone in and beaten Jojo Diaz, former world champion, beat him handily as well. You know what I mean? So I think
conscious of time, so we'll move on from the whole Ryan Garcia thing, man. We'll get on to this week. We've got some fights to look forward to this week. Wanted to bring to your attention as well, as you know, the news about Daniel Kinahan getting. I'm not even sure how much we could talk about this on here, you know.
Well, you're scared.
No, I'm not scared. I'm just like, what can I really say? Or, you know what I mean? But obviously the official news has come out that, you know, he has been sanctioned by the US. They're frozen some of his assets. We saw Top Rank come out and say that they're distancing themselves away from Daniel Kinahan. A lot of talk about it on Twitter and everything else. Some of the fighters, some prominent fighters that we would have hoped to have heard from. Of course, we ain't heard anything from them. Well, your reaction to this news?
Well, you know, I wasn't surprised about the news because we'd heard that there was an investigation being launched, but you're just wondering what was going to come of it. So I wasn't totally surprised. But it's been interesting to see the reaction of the boxing fraternity since it happened. You know what I mean? A lot of people have gone very radio silent, man.
A lot of
pictures
has been funny, man.
A lot of pictures have been deleted off people's Twitter account and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people are not saying much. But listen, man, this could get real interesting because Probellum.
What could happen? What could happen then? What could happen?
Well, I mean, the investigation, if that net spreads out wide, a lot of people could find themselves staring down the barrel, man, depending on how deep they are with Kinahan and how much they knew. Of course, they're going to say, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. But, I mean, it's early days yet, man, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of people looking nervously over their shoulder. When that doorbell rings, they'll be thinking, who is that calling? You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's bound to have an effect in boxing because this guy was doing business with a hell of a lot of people. So you wonder, I feel sorry for some of the boxers, man, because what are they going to do if he gets sanctioned to the extent whereby, you know what I mean, assets are frozen and money's not getting paid to people and that, where are they going to go?
Yeah. Harvey said here, MTK have said they had no connection with Daniel Kinahan for a few years now. It took them 2 days to come up with that. I'll also read out a statement to you from Probellum. They responded to the sanctions. They've said here, Probellum takes the sanctions made by the US Treasury extremely seriously, and the business and its employees will be fully compliant with them. We have retained counsel in the US to ensure that we fully comply with all the rules, regulations, and requirements related to this matter, including not working with any individual or company that has been placed under US sanctions. This includes Daniel Kinahan, and we can confirm that we will not have any business relationship or communication with him whatsoever. Bob Arum's comments implying that Top Rank has seized a business relationship with Probellum are baseless. Top Rank is a competitor, and since Probellum's inception, Top Rank has never worked directly with us. Any suggestions that Daniel Kinahan is a shareholder or owner of Probellum are false and defamatory.
Yeah, but you kind of expect these people to say that, wouldn't you? But listen, like I said, it's early days yet, so we don't know the extent to how this is going to go. But like I said, there's a lot of people looking nervously over their shoulder. Like I said, every time that doorbell rings, man, they're probably a bit nervous, as well they might be. I'll tell you one person who's probably smiling right now.
Who?
Barry McGuigan.
Yeah.
Because he was that lone dissenting voice when that BBC documentary came out, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I remember when that documentary came out, he got absolutely hammered by a lot of people.
Ripped, mate. He got ripped.
And I bet he's at home sitting there in Ireland, wherever he lives now, with a glass of red wine saying, see, I told you, man, you know what I mean? It's also very, very brave of him, let's be honest. You've got to give McGuigan some credit, despite what people may say about some of his business dealings. But what he actually did was actually quite brave there, man. He was like I said, he was like the lone dissenting voice, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And everyone was giving Kinahan praise and saying what a great guy he is and how much he's helped them. Barry McGuigan came out there and said, look, this guy's a criminal. He's a gangster. He shouldn't be in boxing. And a lot of people out there, myself included, were pretty worried as to what might happen to him. But here he is now. And it's funny how things can change in a matter of months or years or whatever. So, but like I said, it's kind of early days. I've got my eyes on it. Maybe next week when we talk about it, I'll be able to provide you with a bit more information. Because like I said, We know about the investigation. We know about some of the assets being frozen, but we don't know how deep this is going to go. So I think only time will tell. So maybe next week we'll be able to inform the viewers a bit more on what's going on.
Yeah.
Like I said, what has been obvious to me is the silence has been deafening in some quarters. Let's leave it like that.
Yeah. Interesting developments. We'll see how that unfolds, man. I'm sure there's a lot more to this over the next coming weeks. So we'll see how that does develop. Huge fight this weekend, man. Huge fight. One of the biggest fights of the year for sure. Errol Spence and Ugas, 3 of the 4 welterweight belts will be on the line. Yeah, great to see Errol Spence back in the ring, man. And this is a real challenge. I've had a few people messaging me telling me that they're going to back Ugas for the upset. They think it might be worth the punt. Any bettors out there? But listen, Errol Spence, man, I've always really had a high opinion of him. Always enjoyed watching him. I really respect the fact that, you know, he's not in this game for tune-ups. Even at time out of the ring, he'll go in there against a top-rated opponent. And that's another one here with Ugas, who is on the up right now. He beat Pacquiao. He has a belt of his own. And maybe he'll feel like the time is right now to really see what he could do, even though he's older than Errol Spence. You know, the war, the torn and the wear and tear, you know, it don't really compare as to what Errol Spence has been through over the last few years. So this is a dangerous fight, man.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a very good fight. Both on paper, and I'm sure it proves to be in the ring, because one thing about Errol Spence, you know, he's going to bring it. That's how he fights. That's how I expect him to approach this fight. Even if he doesn't get the stoppage, he's going to be looking for the stoppage. That means he's going to be coming forward. He's been looking to let his hands go, because we spoke about Fondora. Spence as well is what I call a high volume puncher. He throws a lot of punches. He's active in there. He's aggressive. He's aggressive with his hands and with his feet. That being said, Ugas is very skilled. And obviously he's coming to win. He's coming off that great performance against Pacquiao. He believes in himself. He's got the amateur pedigree, that Cuban boxing skills program, you know what I mean? And he'll be very confident. And he will present Errol Spence with a lot of problems. So if Ugas was to win, it wouldn't be the shock of the century for me, by no means, you know what I mean? But I am slightly leaning towards Spence. I thought at Spence's last fight, when he fought Danny Garcia, I thought that kind of went under the radar a little bit as to how good he was. Because if you remember, he was coming off the back of that horrendous car crash he had. We now know that he had another car crash after that. So for him to come off the back of that, as well as, you know, being at the ring for a while, and to beat an opponent like Danny Garcia, who, let's face it, is a very tough guy, decent puncher himself, very experienced, can box. I thought what Errol Spence beat Danny Garcia probably better than most people have, that anyone else has beaten him.
He has beaten him more convincingly than anyone else has.
So for him to do that after that long layoff and given what had happened, I thought that he didn't get enough credit for that, to be honest.
But since then, he's had another long layoff. He's had another serious injury to his eye, and like, here he comes again. Like, can he go back to the well again this time round against Ugas? Because that was over a year ago, that Garcia fight. Then he had that eye injury, and now he's back again. It's a lot to overcome, especially as you get older.
It is. You're right. And it will be a difficult night. There's no doubt about it. Because like I said, Ugas will be coming to win. There's no doubt about that. He has the skills to make it difficult for Errol Spence. I think it will be a hard-fought fight, especially over the first 5, 6, 7 rounds, likely to be a bit cagey. Then I expect the fight to take on a life of its own. And I think that Errol Spence, I'm tipping him to win on points, but it could be a close one, man.
Yeah.
You could be looking at a round swing. You know what I mean? So the judges are going to have to be on point that night. You know what I mean? They're going to have to be focused and concentrating on what's going on in front of them.
OS has said here, hi guys, just a thought. If Ugas outclasses and beats Spence, would you still want to see Crawford and Spence?
Depending on the nature of the.
Well, he's saying if he outclasses him and beats him.
Yeah, if he outclasses, then that fight loses its marketing value. And I would imagine that Errol Spence will probably put it down to weight. Because let's face it, man, he's been campaigning at welterweight since he was an amateur. I remember watching him in the 2012 games in London. That's 10 years ago. He's still a welterweight now. He must be struggling to make that weight, despite what he says in public. So if he loses, I fully expect him to go up to 154 and relaunch his career at that weight. If he wins, then yes, there'll be the clamour for the Crawford fight. I've been clamouring for that fight for ages now. I don't see why that fight's not been made. But yeah, I think I'm going for Errol Spence in a close fight, but I would not be shocked in the slightest if Ugas got his hand raised, because I think Ugas is a quality competitor. Let's face it, Ugas should have had his hand raised against Sean Porter. I thought that was straight up robbery.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yeah. Harvey says here, it'll be a competitive fight with a few swing rounds, but Spence will edge out a unanimous decision. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you guys here and go with Spence by decision. But I think Ugas will present problems. I don't see this being a stoppage either way. I see this going the full 12 rounds. And yeah, I just think that Errol Spence will do enough just to win it. And let's not forget, man, Ugas is very skilled, but so is Errol Spence. Do you know what I mean? Got great fundamentals, goes well to the body. And, you know, from what I'm seeing, man, he still looks like he's still got enough left, man. So, yeah, hopefully he gets the win for me personally. And we may be able to see that Crawford fight in the future, because I'm hearing that Crawford is about to sign a 2-fight deal with the PBC. I'm not sure how true that is. But if that is true, then it brings us a step closer to the fight that we all want to see.
Yeah. I mean, I'm picking Spence on account of his natural aggression and his high volume punching output. I think that will carry him across the line. But like I said, there will be rounds that Ugas wins on account of his awkwardness and his skills. And the fact that, let's face it, he's a quality fighter. So he's going to win rounds in a fight like this.
Yeah.
Because each fighter is going to have to be on their game. You know what I mean? For the duration of the fight. So that means if one dips below a certain level, the other guy will win the round. It's going to be that close.
Yeah, but it's like you said, it's not going to be no huge shock if Ugas wins. It's not going to be a huge, I mean, it'll be a bit of an upset, yeah, but it won't be like a wow, like upset of the year. I don't think it'll hit that proportion if Ugas wins. No. Yeah. We'll see, man. Looking forward to that this weekend. I think Isaac Cruz is on the undercard against Yuriorkis Kamboa on that same show. 2 former Tank Davis opponents. We've also got your boy Conor Benn in action. He'll be taking on Chris Van Heerden. I noticed I sent you a clip yesterday of Eddie Hearn talking to Conor Benn. That did the rounds on Twitter yesterday. So yeah, he was kind of gassing him up, hyping him up, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not. Like I said, I always keep it real. I don't really care about this fight with Conor Benn and Van Heerden. To be fair, it doesn't really get my juices flowing or anything like that. I'm expecting Conor Benn to win. I'm expecting him to win inside the distance. I'm expecting the DAZN crew to you know, go overboard in terms of their praise for Conor Benn. And I could just see the same thing going. They're going to talk about, yeah, he's going to be a real dangerous opponent next time round. And then they're going to put him in with someone like Broner or someone like that, man. That's just what I personally see. You're going to come out and say, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say I'm being too harsh. You're going to say he's developing, let the guy breathe and whatever. That's cool. But I'm just saying, for me personally,
he's got to win first. He's got to win first.
I mean, I'm fully expecting him to win inside the distance against Van Heerden.
Well, Van Heerden's a tough guy. You know what I mean? He's been in with guys like Errol Spence. He's been in with Boots Ennis. You know what I mean? So listen, I'm not hating on that fight, man. I think it's a career development fight, a career building fight. The opponent makes a lot of sense because obviously we've got to see the ambition that Van Heerden's going to bring into the ring with him come Saturday. But he's talking a good fight. If you look at some of the interviews, I know talking is talking, but he's talking like he's going to come and present some problems. And personally, I hope he does, because we don't really know how good Conor Benn is yet, do we? I mean, he looks to have all the attributes, but he's not really been tested yet. So maybe Van Heerden in some of the rounds can put it on him a little bit, and let's see how he copes under pressure. But you can't hate on this fight, man, because let's face it, Conor Benn, and I know I've said it before, I know it sounds like I'm going over old ground. He's not had an established amateur career. He's basically starting from a zero base, as it were, and he's had to build. And in his early fights, we all saw them. He didn't look that impressive. Fast forward till now, he's made significant improvements. He's on the fringes of being considered the top echelon welterweights in the world. He's not there yet. He's on the fringes. And a win like the one he should get on Saturday will continue him on that path. But we'll have to gauge and assess, you know what I mean, how he does. So, like I said, it'll be good if Van Heerden can put him under pressure and so we can see exactly what he's got. But, I mean, I have to say that, you know, in the last couple of fights, I've been really impressed with Conor Benn. So if he can carry on that trajectory, then it's all good.
You looking forward to Saturday?
Yeah, I am. 100%.
Okay.
Like I said, this is a career-building fight.
Mohammed says here, do you think Conor Benn beats Maurice Hooker? Yeah, I think he beats
Hooker.
Yeah, I think
that, you see the fight. Like, if he'd have fought someone like Hooker, a lot of people out there would have said, oh, this is a really good fight. But really, Van Heerden, to me, would present him with a stiffer challenge than Hooker with at this point in their careers. Because Hooker has taken a couple of beatings. He's coming off those losses. Whereas at least with Van Heerden, you would have to say, to me, he would appear to have a bit more in the tank. I guess we'll find out.
Very inactive, though. Like Nathan saying, he's been inactive. Similar to Algieri. You know, been inactive, man. I don't know. Harvey said here, I've always said my problem isn't the pace he's being moved at. It's the pedestal they put him on and the names he mentions. You can't say all that stuff they do. See, wait. This is exactly what I'm saying. This comment here from Harvey.
He's drinking the same haterade as you.
we just know our thing. That's all it is.
Like, all right, okay. So who do you want to see him in with then?
Like I said, I'm not hating on the pace that he's being moved at. It's the people around him. It's the Eddies, the zone team. It's them lot more than anyone that I don't like. It's not Conor. I ain't got nothing against Conor Benn. I think that he's being moved at a good pace. But it's them lot. Like just the fact, oh yeah, he's this and that. Oh yeah, man.
Eddie Hearn is in the
Eddie Hearn said. Do you what Eddie Hearn said yesterday? You're above British level. You're above European level. You're above. I'm like, what? What? Wait, you're above European level.
He's not above European level. No, he's not. But listen, man, that's all hype. We know what it is. And listen, do I agree with all that type of stuff? No, I don't. But having said that, man, this is the game and the business we're in. Eddie Hearn's in the business of selling his fighter to the public, and that's what he's doing. He's probably saying a lot of that stuff tongue-in-cheek. We know what Eddie Hearn's like. I don't take the guy too seriously. I don't even think that Eddie Hearn knows that much about boxing other than the surface level. So I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't buy into a lot of that stuff. But having said that, he's not the only promoter to do things like that. We just spoke about Ryan Garcia. You listen to Oscar De La Hoya talk about him, you'd think it was the next coming of Julio Cesar Chavez and Oscar De La Hoya rolled into one. And we all know that's bullshit. So, yeah, this is the hype game, man. You know what I mean? And it goes side by side with the boxing game. But I am interested to see how his career unfolds. Because would you deny, Daryl, that he's one of the most improved, if not the most improved fighter in the country? Yeah, would you agree with me on that?
I've said before. Right. I think he is. Yeah, I've said that before.
And do you think Van Heerden, at this stage of Conor Benn's career, is a bad opponent? Look, be honest now. I'm not saying it's not the best opponent. I'm saying, is it a bad opponent?
I'm saying you could have got a better opponent.
But you could have got worse. A lot worse.
The hype you're gassing, the hype you're giving this guy, you know what I mean? It's like, you're putting him in with someone that's been inactive. Someone was about to get washed by Boots. Ain't fought for a lot since then.
No, you know but Boots is next level, bro. Boots is, I'm sure you would agree with me. I mean, I had people gassing up Virgil Ortiz. To me, Boots is a higher level. And we've since seen that. Virgil Ortiz turned down my guy there, the Armenian guy. What's his name? Daniel Avanesian, yeah. And I called him out for that. I thought he was ducking Avanesian, bro. I bet you any money if Avanesian was put in front of Boots, he would not turn that down. I'm willing to bet money on that. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that Conor Benn is even alongside Virgil Ortiz. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's on the verge of that top echelon of welterweights in the world, but we have to see how he gets on against better fighters. And I think that the Van Heerden fight, don't get me wrong, if he gets past Van Heerden, I want to see him step up a level again. But I'm not hating on this particular fight because I think Van Heerden, if what I've seen of him in previously manifest itself in this fight. He has a certain experience and toughness that will show us just how much improvement Conor Benn is making.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm saying as long as the fight lasts, I'll be interested to see how he goes.
Big up my bro, Big Lou in the chat here. Good to have you here, bro. There's also another show, a Queensberry show that weekend as well. Jason Cunningham, I believe, will be in action.
Yes.
I ain't seen many people. I ain't even trying to disrespect that, but there's not really been much hype around that. Considering the other two shows that are on this weekend with Spence-Ugas and Benn-Van Heerden. But yeah, there is a lot of boxing to look forward to over the weekend, man. And we'll see significant action in the welterweight division. Conor Benn, last one on him. I'm expecting him to win. I'm expecting him to win inside the distance. And like I said, I haven't got no issue with Ben at all. It's just the hype that I don't like. That's all.
Only one man's taken him out. And that was Errol Spence took him out. I know that Boots Ennis was on the verge of taking him out.
He was about to take him out.
Yeah, he was. But okay, let's say Errol Spence and Boots Ennis. So in 30 fights, they're the only guys that have one other guy's beaten him on a split decision in Europe. He's got 28 wins. He's got 12 KOs. He's known to be a tough guy. Let's see how it goes, man. And like I said, if he wins this one, then you can start to say, right, enough of the journeyman. Let's step him up a grade further and let's see how he gets on. Maybe you're looking at the bottom end of the top 15 of the welterweights in the world will be your next one. But I like to see fighters build, man. You know what I mean? I don't want to see them just get thrown in just like that, just because there's a bit of hype around them. You know what I mean? Because most of the good fighters out there, that's unless you're a real phenom, that tends to be the career trajectory, isn't it? They build you.
Well, you've got Batayev and Stanionis on that night as well. And
you know what? Maybe if Conor Benn wins and wins well, they might be looking at one of those types of guys. Why not?
Okay. Big up Jerusalem here in the chat. They put, what's up, man? Harvey says here, Fury White media Zoom presser at 6 p.m. That kind of segues into our next topic here of the show. Dillian White finally breaking his silence over this whole Fury situation. Good to see him. He definitely didn't tweet that tweet. I don't know if you saw the tweet yesterday that he put out, kind of promoting the fight, saying that he was ready. And that he definitely didn't write that. But, he's tweeting.
Why did he say that?
Oh, you could just tell he didn't write it, man. You could tell.
No, but it had "let's go" on it, didn't it?
Yeah, but it was like, I just know it wasn't him. You could just tell, okay. It's like if you message me, I know when I get a message from you. If someone else used the phone and message, I know that weren't you. Okay. Because that's just the way I, what I mean? But it don't matter anyway. He did.
At least he's made it to a Zoom presser. You know what I mean? Let's hope he turns up on the night.
I think that he's definitely, his hand has been forced, and I reckon that he is having to join these calls. But definitely, you know what? It's just good. The fight is next weekend, man. Do you know what I mean? The fight is
the more this has gone on, the more I'm starting to think that this is some kind of mind games by Dillian, man. You know what I mean? Whether it works or not, we will see. But I honestly think that he probably looked at it and thought, I'm not going to engage in Fury's nonsense. I'm going to keep them guessing. Meanwhile, I'm working away hard, doing what I do in Portugal, and I'm going to come shock the world on fight night. I think that's his game plan.
Yeah. And Big Lou says here, White doesn't talk like that, man. If you see the tweet, you just know that weren't from Dillian White.
Although, to be fair, a lot of these fighters and a lot of famous people, their Twitter accounts is not run directly by themselves, is it?
Yeah, but White's is. He definitely does tweet, his emotions and feelings at the time. But
what did you want to use? Some Jamaican patois or something? Would that have endorsed it? Would that have legitimized it or made it more authentic? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to sell it to me anyway. I'm going to watch it. We're all going to be tuning in. So it don't really matter to me at the end of the day if he does promote it or not, man. I'm going to be tuning in regardless. So are you. Like I said, next week is happening. Has your prediction towards that fight swayed anything or is it still, we've got Fury winning it? Dillian does have a chance depending on how Fury approaches the fight, but ultimately you've got Fury winning. Has your opinion changed, or is it, what's your thoughts now?
It hasn't changed really. Like I said, you would have to make Tyson Fury a strong favorite in terms of boxing and all-round ability because he's a more gifted fighter, let's be honest. However, Dillian does have a chance. He has a puncher's chance. We know that Dillian will come and give it his best shot. And I'm expecting it to be a good fight. You certainly can't rule Dillian out. He punches hard. He's tough. He's strong. He's very committed and willing. And as long as that fight lasts, he will be dangerous, either in terms of the KO or even, like I said before in previous shows, he could open up one of those eye tissue scars above Fury's eye. You know what I mean? So you can't write him out, not at all. And I'm sure that he will be in the best possible condition he can be in. And one thing about Dillian Whyte, he's a very strong-minded individual. And if he puts his mind to winning, that makes him, in my view, quite a dangerous opponent. And no less than David Haye has predicted that he's going to win.
That was going to be my next point. Your thoughts, you know, John Fury coming out saying, "Yeah, I don't want David Haye on the show," snapping on David Haye. I told Frank Warren I don't want David Haye anywhere near the show. You know, Carl Frampton, you know what I mean, when he picked against Tommy Fury, didn't like that. But it's all right for the Furies to pick Charles Martin to beat AJ. It's all right for the Furies to pick all these other guys to beat who are, you know what I mean? So,
Daryl, how many times have I got to say it on this show? John Fury is one of the most obnoxious, boorish, and just plain idiotic people in boxing. And for some reason, he seems to get a lot of interest from the press. You know what I mean? Which I find
Gareth
quite...
Davis.
Well, it's not just Gareth A. Davis, to be fair. A lot of them fawn over this guy, and I just don't get it. I think he's an idiot. He doesn't conduct himself in anywhere near the right manner, but people seem to fall over him and give him this credit that he don't deserve. And it wasn't just the fact that he said, John Fury, that he didn't want David A. commenting on the fight. He actually added, there'll be trouble. I mean, who does that, bro? Who does that? And Frank Warren, let's face it, he was a man who's given to, you know, coming out with quite acerbic statements himself. I wonder how he feels to being potentially bullied like this. I want to see what he comes out and says. Because a normal Frank Warren, I'm sure, would have said, no one's going to tell me what to do and blah, blah, blah. I wonder what he's going to say about it. It'll be interesting. Probably he'll say nothing. So this further gasses up John Fury to come out with more crap in the future. People need to tell this man about himself, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't, though. They just fawn over him and say, oh, Big John. Just, please, man. Guy's the idiot.
It's down to BT anyway. BT, they have David Haye on production. They can't really... I guess Frank Warren would have a say on it, but, you know, it's going to be produced and everything by BT.
Well, the remark was clearly aimed at Frank Warren. So I want to see how Frank Warren responds. Is he going to respond in kind, the way you would expect Frank Warren to do? Or is he going to hide behind some vacuous statement, some glib statement, and say, John's just being John, and I want to see what he says.
Yeah.
Keep that same energy, Frank. Let's see what you're going to say. When it's Eddie Hearn and other people that come after you, you got a lot of smoke for those guys.
Yeah.
We'll see, man. 1 second.
I have a feeling that Laurie's going to tell them guys to be quiet out there. Obviously, we haven't got long left on the show. We've only got about a couple of minutes left. Harvey has said here, did you see Frank Warren's birthday message to Dillian Whyte? I did. Even though I'm blocked, I still managed to see the video message from Frank. Did you see that? Frank Warren's
it's corny.
Yeah, it was a bit corny, wasn't it? It was a bit like... I'm not even saying that because...
It was one of those things where it's supposed to be humorous, but it fell flat, man.
I never laughed. Did you?
Never laughed at all. I thought it was corny. Proper corny as well.
Big up Ash, he's put here, David Haye is an elite troll. DS has said here, John Fury said he's up for fighting anyone for the right money. Just get this guy out of here, man.
You know what people should do? When they finished on this, right? When they finish watching the stream, go on YouTube and watch John Fury versus Henry Akinwande. I'm not going to say anything else. Just watch that.
Mohammed says, how comes you're blocked? Yeah, I said it last week, man. I don't know why I'm blocked, to be fair. But yeah, we're over that now, man. It is what it is. Probably Frank Warren or whoever's probably seen a clip like this of us just dissing the Furies and whatever. But we diss anyone when it comes down to it. It's not a personal attack. It's just how we feel. So,
like I said, Frank Warren, keep that same energy. John Fury's called you out. He said there's going to be trouble.
Yeah. DS said here, Laurie, I've seen that fight. And Harvey said here, John's boxing career was something. So, yeah. Listen, Laurie, we've got 5 minutes left of the show. Well, we've only got a couple of minutes left, should I say. I know you've got to be out here at 6. So, anything on your mind before we close out? Do you know what I mean? Anything boxing-wise that you want to quickly let go off your chest before we go?
No, I pretty much covered all of it. Suffice to say, it's another good week for boxing, man. I'm looking forward to, despite what you've said about the Conor Benn fight. And listen, I do understand some of your reservations about Conor Benn, because listen, I'm going to keep it real. With some other fighters, you heard me talk about Ryan Garcia, for example, young fighters that get gassed up over and above what they should be. So there's always going to be that danger with Conor Benn that it could fall flat. But I am genuinely interested in this fight. I think Van Heerden will test him, and we'll see how he goes.
Got to Canelo. We got.
Of course. I should mention the Errol Spence fight. That's a big fight, man. I'm looking forward to that.
I thought we'd get away without really talking about Canelo that much. We did talk about him briefly earlier, but here we go again. Francisco said here, Laurie, Canelo said that he's vegan for this training camp, so we can't condemn him for clenbuterol unless they can put that stuff in broccoli.
Listen, man, with that Canelo thing, right? The WBC said they've raised the levels anyway. So I've got no faith in that organization. From they could say something like that. I'm not expecting Canelo to get tested positive again. Because if he does, they'll come out with some excuse about it was only 3 Red Bulls, like what they did with what's his name? Oscar Valdez, or Oscar Valpeds, as he's known in boxing circles. So I'm not expecting him to test positive for anything because he's been looked after. Let's be honest.
Yeah, Karen.
But I like to think he's learnt his lesson with regards to that type of stuff. And I did hear about him being vegan. He did say that, I don't think he said he was strictly vegan, did I? The stuff that I read suggested that he changed his diet and he was eating less meat. So I don't think he's gone strictly vegan. But anyway, he said it's improved him and he's noticed the benefits of it already. Some fighters I've heard about in the past have said they've started vegan diets only to because it made them feel a bit weak.
Tim Bradley, he was on a vegan diet when he turned vegan altogether, didn't he? When he was boxing. Yeah. I don't think he's vegan now though.
No, don't look like it.
Nah.
But then you know what? You know what it is as well, though? Vegan diets, right, can be quite misleading in terms of your calorific content, because what a lot of people do is even though they're not eating meat or fish and things like that, they are eating foods that are quite high in calories and are quite, sugar loaded. So just because you're a vegan doesn't mean to say you're necessarily eat all the right things.
Last comment on here before we go. Punch Mullet said here, Nico Ali on the Valdez Shakur undercard.
I call him Nico Walsh. Don't be taking on that last name like that, bro. You know what I mean? You're Nico Walsh for now. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I'm only joking, but another hype job, innit? Let's be honest, man. Fair play to the man. He's doing his thing, but I think we've seen enough to know that, you know what I mean? There's a certain ceiling there with him, innit?
Top rank overdoing it, man.
Yeah, they are.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get it.
You look at that guy, right? You look at that guy. Listen, I may be wrong, but I'm looking at Nico Ali Walsh. I call him Nico Walsh, and I'm seeing that there's a certain ceiling. And I very much doubt whether he's going to get above that.
Yeah. We'll see, man.
Shout out, by the way, to I was very impressed with Shane Mosley's son, man.
Yeah. I saw a few guys were commenting on that fight during the show. He was very impressive, man, to be fair.
He was, man, very impressive. And he hurt Rosado a couple of times as well.
Yeah.
He was very good. You know what I mean? So shout out to Mosley. Yeah.
Well, listen, we're going to wrap it up for today, man. That hits the hour mark. We'll let you go out and do your thing. You know, I didn't get the invite, man. I'm quite disappointed in that. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But now, listen, enjoy it, man. Say hello to everybody out there for me. Big up to everybody in the comments. Hit the like button on the way out. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Next week, we'll be doing the watch along for the Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury fight. That is confirmed now. That will be over on the DR Sports channel. Guys, enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll be back next week, Laurie.
Yeah, man, looking forward to it. Like I said, tremendous weekend of boxing coming up, and we'll have much to talk about next week. But in the meantime, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks to you, Daryl, for allowing me once again the pleasure of coming on your show and indulging in one of my passions, which is boxing. And yeah, man, look forward to seeing all you guys next week. Like, share, subscribe. I'm out.